is phenomenal. Now they must be coming back being like, oh, it's a regional. It's not the biggest tournament that we've ever had. Right. It's not the World Championships. No, just an ordinary, everyday, run-of-the-mill regionals. Now, it is the biggest we've ever had in Europe, but, you know, this is a player who's used to these big tournaments now.
And I think very often we've seen this sort of trajectory of players putting yourself in that position. Certainly, David would have been in winning situations for those top 8 spots. Yes. Certainly, if things had fallen a different way, whether it's a card, whether it's a matchup, this, that, and the other, all you can do is put yourself in that position over and over again, and inevitably, you're going to make that breakthrough. So, David's certainly a player who I have my eye on from the beginning of the season. I think he could crush this year.
I think he could have an absolutely phenomenal year. He's a great player to be showing off at the start of the season. Now, it looks like with headsets on, I can tell you that we do have David with Gardevoird and Nicholas with Gholdengo Joltik. Those are the decks. Let's see the prize cards. Just spot anything, Joe?
Well, already looking at the Bravery Charm. Oh, 3 of the Monkey Dory.
Oh, my word.
Oh, David, this is a huge Pokemon in the Gardevoird EX list, trying to augment the damage of your own Pokemon. As we see the fist bump, we're getting into our Swiss round number 5, game 1 of our best of 3 sets. 50 minutes on the clock. David forced to kick things off here with a Mew EX in the active position, but fortunately does at least have access to a Nest Ball here. Let's talk through what Gardevoird's all about.
Yeah, what we got from Gardevoird here is what we've been seeing for a long time. Gardevoird EX, of course, has that rather ridiculous ability that we've been seeing for a very long time here, which lets you just accelerate as much psychic energy as you like to your psychic Pokemon. There must be a catch. Well, there is a catch. The catch is that every time you do it with Psychic Embrace, you have to put 2 damage counters on them. But that's where Monkey Dory comes in with its Adrenabrain ability, moving that damage off of your Pokemon onto your opponents. We've got Scream Tail that can hit your opponent's bench Pokemon with damage dependent on the damage on them. And this is a build that is playing a 1/1 Jellicent EX line, which stops your opponent playing item, cards, or tools. So that's something we could be watching in this matchup or in another. It's not what we see in every Gardevoird match, but it's what we've got coming in here. Gardevoird, Scream Tail, and of course, it's not relevant in this matchup, but Lily's Clefairy for those pesky dragons.
I think the dynamic might shift quite a lot thanks to this Jellicent EX line, with item lock both from Frillish, in addition to the Jellicent EX's ability. We can make life very awkward for Gholdengo, knowing how reliant they are on superior energy retrieval to maintain their damage output. Now, let's make it clear, Nicholas is not just playing a traditional Gholdengo EX deck, much more similar to Fuguan's winning list in the Seniors division, where it's going to be combining it with some lightning Pokemon in the back as well, with Iron Hands EX, Pikachu EX, as well as, of course, Miraidon EX, which can be an attacking threat if need be as well. Using the Joltik that's currently in the active position to accelerate a lot of the energy out of the deck will give us a variety of attackers. And there was one Iron Hands EX in the prize cards for Nicholas. Fortunately, he's playing 2 copies, so still will be able to kick the game off with a good old Amp You Very Much, an attack that we've heard over and over again throughout our seasons, Ross.
We have indeed. Well, there was David's turn. Got a Routes, benched it, left the Mew active. That was the turn. So now we're over to Nicholas here, who is going to be trying to set some of this Joltik Gholdengo up. We see a Gimmighoul hitting the bench nice and quickly here. And we've got a Nest Ball doing that turn 1 search, having a look through, figuring out what's prized. I think you laid it out really nicely there, Joe. Iron Hands, Pikachu, my boy Miraidon.
Yes.
But Amy's pick, that unconventional Galvantula, it is in the deck. There's 2 copies of the Joltik, but there is 1 copy of that Galvantula coming in here. Basically, it does 50 damage, but if there's lightning attached, it does 80 more. And if it's attacking a Pokemon with an ability, it does 50 more again. And that is enough to KO, for instance, a Charizard. Anything that's weak to grass. Marnie's Grimmsnarl would be taken out by that as well.
Looks like, thanks to the Arven supporter this turn, Nicholas is going to have a pretty ideal turn 1 Jolting charge. Arven will be able to find the Earthen Vessel. We're currently lacking any basic energy in this opening hand, so Nicholas can grab any energy, because it's a colourless attack cost on our Jolting charge from Joltik, and that means we're going to be able to pluck out 2 lightning and 2 grass energy, and we've already Nestballed for the Iron Hands EX, making no secret, Nicholas, of what he wants to start powering up. This is a way that you can brute force 2 prize KOs on any board state by taking out the low hit point single prize Pokemon with Iron Hands, or weaving in Gholdengo EX for the high damage output knockouts required for the multi-prize EX Pokemon.
And we have little Pokemon around right now, low HP Pokemon in a lot of decks. Charizard, Dragapult, Gardevoird, a lot of stage 2s, they take a couple turns to get going. While they're getting going, they're having to leave these low HP basics and stage 1s on the board. That is where Iron Hands can absolutely make hay. And interestingly enough, this is one of those few Gholdengo decks, it's not playing Energy Search Pro, it's playing Prime Catcher, so that you can guarantee those easy KOs in the right place with your Iron Hands here.
Second Nest Ball coming out for Nicholas. Going to grab that Genesect EX in order to then use his ability Metallic Signal to get straight into a couple Gholdengo EX for the following turn. Expecting David not really likely to put on much pressure on the Gimmighoul here on turn 2. It would require a big combination of Rare Candy, Gardevoird, and all sorts of Psychic raining onto the board. So you can pretty freely just go for the 1 Gimmighoul right now, knowing that next turn you're still looking towards your Iron Hands as your attacker. That we're going to finish our turn setting up here after a quick Air Balloon commitment onto a Gimmighoul and into that Jolting charge with Joltik.
Yeah, this Jolting charge is an absolutely absurd attack. It searches not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 4 basic energy and attaches them to your Pokemon in any way you like. 2 grass, 2 lightning. And if we go back to, you know, Iron Hands for a minute, amp you very much, lightning, colorless, colorless, colorless. Well, hang on a second. That is all 4 energy on an Iron Hand. So turn 1, you go second. You use Joltik to get the energy onto Iron Hands, and you start your second turn, and you're like, hey, just so you know, Iron Hands totally powered up and ready to go. That is very unfortunate, especially when you had, I'm going to say it, Joe, as underwhelming a turn 1 as David had.
Pretty much the case. What a way to pass things over to David for their second turn now. Going to see the countercatcher discard from the Earthen Vessel. As Ross already mentioned, discarding your Psychic Energy as you go is a big objective of the Gardevoird archetype. We really heavily rely on that Psychic Embrace ability to accelerate our energy. So grabbing them into the hand to ideally use Professor's Research or Ultra Ball or Secret Box to discard them, then gives you access as soon as you find your Gardevoird EX to throw these all into play here. So it's a great item to kick off this turn. Does David have any means of discard here in this hand? Is that the Secret Box itself? Yes, it is. 8 spec in hand, Ross.
Oh, this Secret, we were talking about this Secret Box yesterday, Joe, because it lets you discard. You have to discard 3 cards from your hand, which, as we said, if it's basic Psychic, actually, yay, win. But then you search for an item, and a tool, and a supporter card, and a stadium card. It basically gets you everything you need to get rolling. It's a card which had a very slow competitive start, but it was North American Internationals in 2024. That's the one we were at. That was where Secret Box in Gardevoird really started to accelerate in its usage. And now, you know, back then it was all Secret Box or Hyper Aroma. No, Hyper Aroma's out. Secret Box won, Joe. And look, we got Artisan for Pokemon. We got Rare Candy. We've got everything we need.
Looks like a few different avenues here potentially for David, who could look to Rare Candy into Gardevoird right now, or could try and use TM Evolution to get into multiple copies of Curlier, accepting that Nicholas could still take a 2-prize knockout on one of his stage 1s. With Ultra Ball in the hand, this might just be fodder for a turn 2 Gardevoird EX here, Ross.
It might.
Discarding an INO here, as well as that Technical Machine Evolution, so we're going straight into this stage 2.
I love this. This is perfect for a couple of reasons. Firstly, you got your stage 2, you can start accelerating energy and attacking. But secondly, what are you going to hit with Iron Hands now? Amp you very much doesn't do very much damage. It does 120, that ain't that much. But it really feasts on these small, evolving and set-up Pokemon. Well, if you don't have any of those on the board, there's nothing for Iron Hands to take advantage of.
There it is then, Rare Candy Gardevoird into the Artisan, into a 2-card draw from Mute EX here. I think we still need an energy if we are going to launch an attack. I think there's only 2 Psych Energy in the discard pile right now.
I believe so.
Like you said, Ross, this is the best way to preserve any prize cards. You could even possibly retreat into your Gardevoird EX. It has a higher threshold of hit points. As we mentioned, this is not a Gholdengo EX build that plays the Energy Search Pro, so you're not in too much fear of suffering a huge knockout, as we see the Professor's Research here for 7 fresh cards.
I love
the energy here.
Yeah, I believe there's 2 in hand there. Did I see that right?
So we can take a single prize KO. We know Gardevoird's fairly content to take 1 prize knockouts, knowing that you can mop up damage later with Monkey Dory use. So a single prize KO is reasonable. Ideally, you try and find a Scream Tail here with Artisan. You could take out the Gimme Ghoul, knowing that the vulnerable 30 hit points of Joltik can be taken out mid-game at any point with an Adrenabrain. I think that's why we are seeing the Scream Tail here, Ross. Yeah,
I think you might have nailed it there, Joe. Looking for that Scream Tail. I do not want to KO a 30 HP Pokemon with damage. When I'm playing a heavy Monkey Dory deck, I want to KO that with Adrenabrain. It's so easy to KO with Adrenabrain. So Scream Tail on the Gimme Ghoul, I think, is absolutely the play here. We need another energy in the discard. Do the math here for me, Joe.
2's perfect here. That's getting us the 80 damage required for Roaring Scream. So that does give us a pretty nice turn. It does allow Nicholas to have an easy 2-prize knockout with Amp you very much. And I think that's the last debate here for David. Is it better to just take a single prize knockout and allow no easy prizes for my opponent? Or do I just take out the Gimme Ghoul now, knowing that I can deal with this Joltik later easily with my Monkey Dory, and knowing that you're taking draw power off the board and a crucial attacker that can take out the Gardevoird? I think overall you take this trade-off knowing that Gardevoird can catch up in prizes later.
Absolutely, I agree with that entirely. Here we go. Here comes the Scream Tail. Now we're going to get the acceleration of those 2 energy, which will put 4 damage counters on, and it is perfect. You got 2 energy, you got 4 damage counters, you do 80 damage anywhere on the board, and that is going to go down onto that Gimme Ghoul, and that is going to take the KO. Yes, we are going to get the return KO from the Amp you very much, but the key thing here is David is setting this up in the way he wants. He is making sure Gholdengo isn't coming down, and giving up 2 prizes, that's fine, but I'm giving you the 2 I'm willing to give up after taking a key KO. That is very different to losing like a Routes in the early game you don't want to lose.
So it will be David actually taking the first prize here as Gardevoird, accepting that there will be an Amp you very much coming up. Was it a Monkey Dory taken from the prizes? Is the first question? No, it's just a Professor's Research.
That's annoying.
Which is quite frustrating. Yeah, annoying is one way to put it. There are 4, fortunately, in the deck for David, so we'll still have access to a means of knocking out this Joltik, but there is the unfortunate news that Nicholas can evolve into a Galvantula this turn and make that vulnerable 30 all the way up to 100, which is much less easy for David to mop up. So already, even if this stage 1 Pokemon doesn't launch any attacks, just by virtue of gaining additional hit points, that's going to be a big help for Nicholas here, who already has that knockout lined up, So we'll simply Arven for Buddy Buddy Poffin in this instance to try and reload some Gimme Ghoul, because after taking a 2-prize knockout, Nicholas definitely wants to have some means of drawing cards, because David is very likely to hand disrupt next turn with an INO, forcing Nicholas down to that lower hand size. Ideally, they start hitting into the Iron Hands, but Nicholas has already built this really robust board. There's a Genesect EX in play, now there are 2 Gimme Ghouls, so even after an INO, we know that there will be easy access to Gholdengo EX next turn. As we finally see the retreat here, Ross, I would love to see the evolution into Galvantula.
There we go.
Even attaching a Grass Energy to it, why not? Have it as a potential single prize attacking option as well, and then we will see the first Amp You very much here. Well, actually, we're going to see a quick Genesect search first. Why not? Metallic Signal can be used every turn. Such a crazy ability on a basic EX Pokemon.
Absurd.
Already a couple Gholdengo in the hand, so we'll just search 1 in this case. We also have an Arton, so a 3rd Gimme Ghoul can come into play.
This is going beautiful. Now, I asked you to do some maths a minute ago, Joe, so I thought I'd return favour. I've done some maths for you. Galvantula can hit 180.
Yes, it can.
Mew has 180.
That's true.
So, and an ability, which is very important. So that Galvantula, that could take a 2-prize KO on the Mew. That is something I am looking for as we get later on into this game as a potential attacker. There is the Ampu very much 2 prizes on the Screamtail. And honestly, for Nicholas here, it could be Galvantula onto the Mew, Gholdengo onto a Gardevoird. Let's go on to game 2. The prize map is lining up quite nicely for him.
Now the challenge for David becomes, how do I begin disrupting my opponent? How do I start putting pressure into this Iron Hands EX, because we know it's terrifying? Or is there a means where you go without any low hit point Pokemon from an additional turn, forcing Nicholas into this weird spot as the Gholdengo deck, where it might even have to retreat the energy off the Iron Hands to have energy to play with superior energy retrieval? There's no guarantees that a Gholdengo can knock out a Gardevoird EX very cleanly in a build like this, much less so when it's Prime Catcher based than it is with Energy Search Pro. This is a big turn for David, and his decision-making this turn is likely going to identify the avenue for this turn and ultimately how this game plays out. We're going to begin with discarding some Psych Energy. That's still a massive element here. There's only 2 in the discard pile right now. We need to have more of those to access more of our attacking options.
Well, we are going for an Ultra Ball here. We did get 1 energy in the discard pile. Looks like we are going to be eyeing up. See, I'd love Double Monkey Dory this turn. Now, we're going for a Pheasantipity. Of course, you had a Pokemon KO'd last turn, so flip the script will let you draw 3 cards. That's a win. Double Monkey Dory here would actually allow a KO onto the Iron Hands using your Gardevoird, but that's not an option because you needed Darkness Energy on each Monkey Dory. You would have had to have had 1 down last turn, and it's free priced anyway, so you're probably not KOing it. So like you say, let's set up, let's put some pressure on, let's try and disrupt a little bit. Hopefully, Pheasantipty's flip the script, drawing 3 cards. It's going to get you a little bit closer to that goal.
And probably because we've seen the discard of the Professor's Research, we're either using Flip the Script to try and find an INO, or we already have another supporter in this hand anyway. So the Flip the Script might be coming after a supporter use here, just to top up on cards. There's no use of the Artisan just yet, so that could still indicate that David is trying to go all 2 prize board and not allow another Ampu very much from a gusting play. That's a really cute line that he could be taking this turn. You would have a vulnerable board state, especially if you choose to attack with the Gardevoird EX, as we see a big Professor's Research here. Not to put down additional rolls, and I think that really is the telltale sign that David is saying, Ampu very much has got enough value here. It's taken a 2-prize KO. Now I'm going to try and sculpt a board that's more difficult for you to take 2 prizes every turn.
No, I really like that. Don't give any more easy prizes, and you've got a deck here you can actually do that with. We saw the Professor's Research, so that was why the first one got discarded. We've still got the option to flip the script to draw 3 more cards. So now the question is, what are we going to use in order to start putting a lot of pressure on our opponent? We're searching out energy here using Earth and Vessel. You've already used Screamtail to take out a Gimme Ghoul here. So what have we got to put pressure on the active? And the answer is, right now, you've got Gardevoird.
There's one cute thing you can do. You can hit for 190, then you can copy with Mew EX to amp you very much, finish off the Iron Hands. A 3-prize KO, that could be a way to get yourself back 1 attack away from game the following turn. But if you're trying to hold off from Monkey Dory, and we still haven't seen the use of Artisan here, so you have to think that's the case, then, yeah, we're just trying to set up this damage over a couple of turns. Here's the Flip the Script.
Drawing 3 cards, we've got an Ultra Ball and supporter, someone else there as well. Nothing that he's really throwing down on the board nice and quickly. Does not seem to be having exactly what he wants here because he's very methodically playing this out. Well, we're retreating into a Gardevoird, so it does look like we are going to be attacking with Gardevoird this turn as expected. Here we're going to see some Psychic Embrace getting some energy into the active.
Yeah, setting up for that Miracle Force attack. Just dealing 190. It's never looked that impressive and almost always requires help from Monkey Dory to augment it in some form.
Indeed.
But right now, David trying to make it just simply more difficult for Nicholas to have that easy KO.
And he's eyeing up the Mew, Joe. Yeah. He's eyeing up the Mew. It might be what you said a second ago, copying the Amp you very much.
I feel like the easiest 2-prize turn for Nicholas next turn is actually the Galvantula that we've highlighted with a gusting effect.
Yep.
Even going to see 1 Psychic Embrace here. So even if the Gardevoird is somehow knocked out by a Gholdengo, David would still have a response attacker lined up. So some really cute play here from David, trying to make it a very difficult two-prize knockout for Nicholas, which seems really counterintuitive because your board is all two-prize Pokemon right now. But that's actually the way that you can make it less easy right now for Nicholas to take a two-prize KO. Really intriguing turn there from David.
He's just top-decked a Prime Catcher, Joe. If he's looking after a bench Pokemon, this is going to help.
Yes.
Prime Catcher on Mew is what I'm looking for personally. He needs a Lightning Energy on the Galvantula to make it work, mind you. It has to be one Lightning, one Grass in order for the attack to work. We've not hit it yet. We see a Nest Ball.
Final coin bonus. We have Metal Energy in the hand. No Superior Energy Retrieval just yet either, so there's no guarantees of bringing anything up.
Don't have
found the one way, or is it one more coin bonus to get there?
one more. He's not got an air balloon to put something at, to put Gholdengo active and then retreat it. It's not what he needs, though. It's the wrong energy, Joe.
I think David's found the line. He's got away with it after a few coin bonus draws. There's very much a world where Nicholas can take out the Mew EX, but not from those draws. Not even a supporter to play this turn. We could use Prime Catcher and take a knockout with Arm Press, thanks to the 2 damage counters from Psychic Embrace.
Well, the Galvantula...
We'll simply retreat off the Galvantula here. We can retreat a Metal Energy, go back into the Arm Press. That's the only means of going down to 2 prize cards here.
It's not
identified from Nicholas. It has costed the Prime Catcher. We see a Bravery Charm onto the Iron Hands as well, trying to play around any Monkey Dory shenanigans. Well picked up from Nicholas. Now goes down to 2 prize cards and is looking like a pretty strong board position from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, Nicholas had a great turn there. Didn't get the KO on Mew with Galvantula, which you've got to think was the absolute prime play. But did use that Prime Catcher, did use the Arm Press. It does 160. It doesn't take an extra prize. But those 2 damage counters from the Psychic Embrace being the key damage counters, that was what brought it down into range of an Arm Press. And now just 2 prize cards remaining with a Gardevoird sitting there. And, Gholdengo does excel at taking big KOs. Harder without Energy Search Pro, but you've basically had all game up till now to build up to this one big Gholdengo turn. You've got to think there's a decent chance to pull it off.
And I keep mentioning Superior Energy Retrieval. There's actually only a couple energy in the discard pile right now, but this Iron Hands is putting on so much pressure, and Nicholas will continue to attack with this Pokemon until David is forced to deal with it. And of course can naturally retreat for 4 energy, throwing those energies into the discard for Superiors to then be unlocked with a Gholdengo attack. That's what is a great synergy around this archetype. The Iron Hands often takes between 2 and 4 prize cards, allowing the Gholdengo to often take 2 or 4 prize cards to close out the game by taking huge knockouts. So just with 3 or 4 Superior in the list, it's quite easy for you to reach those final few prizes. The puzzle for David here is possibly using a single prize Pokemon to take a knockout on the active, knowing then that Nicholas has to have Superiors in addition to Boss's Orders to finish off a Pheasantipity EX. The Bravery Charm is keeping that Iron Hands a little bit out of range of a Monkey Dory option right now. You could use Adrenabrain plus attack with Mind Bend. That could be a solution.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, that might be the only turn, but then that opens up even more draw potential for Nicholas. Gardevoird typically so good at being in control of the INO game plan. One's actually just come into hand from Flip the Script here. Is that something David can utilize now to make it more difficult? Still taking out this Iron Hands EX has to be a priority now that you've benched this single prize Pokemon. We also see a Super Rod now.
Super Rod's fun. That can help set you up for an INO, put the cards you want back into your deck, kind of stacking your deck, if you will, just a little bit in terms of what's inside. We see the Mew and the Screamtail and the Darkness Energy. That's going to help if you want to be using Adrenabrain for Monkey Dory. Although, looks like we might be changing our mind. Mew apparently out, and Jellicent going in, opening up. We got Frillish in hand. We're opening up the idea of Jellicent. And look, if you KO Iron Hands this turn, you can bench a Frillish without really worrying about it.
Yep. And then, looking towards getting your Jellicent EX into the active position, the Oceanic Curse would shut down any use of Superior Energy Retrieval, again forcing that Boss's Orders plus Superior combination. So David is still trying to map out, because he's still a few turns away, make no mistake. He will only be able to take a 2-prize knockout this turn, in the best case scenario, as we see an Ultra Ball grabbing Screamtail, so possibly a combination of the Iono Counter Catcher Roaring Scream to knock out the Iron Hands and start using Monkey Dory to set up other damage across the board. I feel like that has to be something David looks for here, having to hope to dodge some more coin bonuses next turn, because even with Hand Disruption, Nicholas still has a lot of draw on his board.
Yeah, you got 3 Gholdengo there. There's 1 card per Gholdengo. 2 if they manage to get into the active. That is in addition to any supporters or any other cards you play here. So the Iron Hands goes down. That means your Frillish and Screamtail can be benched nicely. They have been benched. Monkey Dory's already got Darkness Energy on, so that means that you can absolutely use Adrenabrain this turn. So you could do Adrenabrain plus KO with a Monkey Dory, but I think you're probably more likely, Joe, here to get the Screamtail play, as we do see the INO, and the hope here is few cards and get the comeback by spreading that damage around and taking the KOs where you need to.
Intriguing choice not to use Counter Catcher there from David, where I feel like Screamtail could have been even safer had you brought up another Pokemon. The only debate here is that there's not been any air balloons used just yet from Nicholas, so there would still be a huge number of outs here. We're going to see at least 2 energy. It will be 3 energy coming onto the Screamtail, who has to Roaring Scream through the active position here, but can first get a Monkey Dory, 3 damage counter placement. There's nothing glaring. Gholdengo is a difficult Pokemon to KO for Gardevoird.
I like Genesect.
Comes into range this way.
Yeah. Now Gardevoird can just do 190 and KO, so I do like that one there. So we do see the KO.
Yeah.
And now the question is, I mean, really, you're still 3 prizes away at this point. So, honestly, you kind of want to KO Galvantula and Genesect to win the game. But that Galvantula, 100 HP is actually kind of annoying.
There's already a superior energy retrieval in the hand, Ross. So we are really close here. Levincia should help as well.
Yep.
We are just looking for boss's orders now to close out this game. We've already used our Prime Catcher. We can, of course, retreat this Galvantula if need be. Nestball can grab Pheasantipity EX. There's even more draw power here, Ross.
That is going to help massively. Flip the script gets you an extra 1, so there's at least 4 more cards being drawn. 1 from the last coin bonus, 3 from the Pheasantipity. If one of them is the boss's orders, we are already good to go. Gardevoird with that 10 damage on is crucial. It means 6 energy rather than 5. But of course, you wouldn't do that, would you, Joe? You'd go for the 5 on the Pheasantipity. You need 5 energy. Now, we would need 1 to attach, 5 in hand.
Yeah, so still 6 total.
Yes, plus the boss's orders, and that is going to be the game here. Do we have 2? No, 1 superior in hand.
Yeah, 1 superior and the Levincia will be enough.
Yes.
So it's just finding boss's orders.
There's another 2
superiors.
And
we have plenty of damage. We can retreat this Galvantula for 2 more cards from coin bonus.
Yeah, the last one has to be inactive for 2. Got to be.
Oh,
apparently it's not. It's Buddy Poffin.
Poffin.
Suppose
the good news is there's still a buffer of prize cards here. David is not looking down win next turn very easily. So you could just simply use Levincia, attach to your Galvantula, and finish off this Screen Tail. You're still putting on a good amount of pressure.
Yeah, I like this.
Still threatening game next turn.
And you're not worried about an INO because you can draw 5 cards minimum next turn, probably 6 if your opponent takes a KO. So INO hand disruption is not going to help. Galvantula KOs a Scream Tail. Nicholas goes down to 1 prize remaining. David still here sitting on 3 prize cards. They're 2 turns away minimum, and they've got to stop Nicholas KOing something like a Monkey Dory or a Frillish next turn.
Ultimately, David is breathing a sigh of relief here that he's still even in this game. The window is starting to crack open. If we can start looking towards more INO, Jellicent TX being a crucial card at this point as well, I think.
Yeah.
And we were able to find a second Monkey Dory from the prize cards finally, so we can start to mount up this Adrenabrain damage, starting to take over this board a little bit more. It won't take much longer for David to put himself into a good spot after it looked very, very far away from a big whiff from Nicholas. 4 boss's orders, by the way, in the list.
Yep.
That's a big dodge that David's done. What can he do with this slice of fortune?
He basically needs, I mean, he should win next turn. What he needs to do is play keep away as well. Jellicent in the active, meaning no superior energy retrieval, that's kind of a big deal. But of course, a boss's orders, if it were to be top decked, for instance, would allow you to grab something like a Monkey Dory active, and then there isn't a Jellicent in the active. Right. So you can use stuff like superior energy retrieval. Here is a second Monkey Dory with a darkness energy. So, oh, maybe. But that would
have to play that energy. We're going to see flip the script first, but I don't see why we wouldn't attach to Monkey Dory here. No. We know that's going to be a crucial element.
There we go.
We can play INO first before the flip the script as well. We're just going to double check the damage on that Galvantula. Certainly enough to deal with these Monkey Dory.
Absolutely, it is a viable attacker, and that's the thing. You kind of have to KO Galvantula this turn, or else that can be the attacker that KOs like a Monkey Dory next turn. So you kind of have to deal with that because that's already got the energy you need. But the good news is Jellicent will be able to KO it. Now we do see. Is that the INO coming down?
Certainly going to have to throw Nicholas down to just 1 card. I think Counter Catcher still would be great here. I know you mentioned taking out the Galvantula, but that would open up flip the script. I'd much prefer to counter catch something up, knowing that we even shut down Air Balloon now.
Okay.
Possibly damaging the Genesect could be useful, and you could double Adrenabrain the Galvantula as well. That would set you up for game on the following turn to take the 3 prize cards required.
I like that plan a lot. The goal here, you can't win this turn. Nicholas can win next turn. The number 1 goal is stop Nicholas winning next turn. I agree, Joe. Counter Catcher, turning off things like, Air Balloon, as well as your superior energy retrieval. That would absolutely work. Your Spider can't be attacking. It can't be attacking. Eventually can't be attacking if it's active. Sorry, it can't be attacking if it's KO'd. Right. It also can't be attacking if it's on the bench and the thing in the active can't move. It both works.
We're going to start to power up this Gardevoird to retreat. There's no doubt we're going into this Jellicent EX.
Oh, yeah.
We have to initiate the Oceanic Curse now. And the Power Press doesn't have to take a knockout either. We could just deal 80 damage and Monkey Dory more things. That would still set up game without activating Flip the Script. That might still be David's safest line here.
No, I like that. You do 80 damage there. You don't put the extra 2 energy on. You just do 80. You could put an extra 2 and do 160 and guarantee the KO. What you could also do is do 80 damage here, leave Galvantula 1 Monkey Dory Adrenabrain away from being KO'd, while then setting up something on the bench. And the next turn, Adrenabrain to KO the Galvantula, 2 prize KO. That's the game. And like you say, you're not allowing Flip the Script, but you're also turning off things like superior energy retrieval. And Galvantula is not KOing Jellicent. This could all be for naught if Nicholas just gets a boss's orders, but at least David's got a chance.
I think it's the best thing you can do. Getting yourself an attack away whilst not activating Flip the Script is basically the best avenue here. We're going to use the maximum heal here from both Adrenabrain. Actually, also just going to bench Scream Tail while we're at it.
Why not?
It's going to be 3 onto the Pheasantipity EX. And the 80 damage sets us up for Monkey Dory to finish off the Galvantula next turn, and if we can bring up one of these EX Pokemon, we can take our final 2. So let's see, Nicholas. It's boss's orders or bust now. It's in the hand.
That's looking good. It is boss's order, so you just bring up the Monkey Dory, KO with Galvantula, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be game 1. Nicholas with this Joltik Gholdengo hybrid goes 1 game up in round 5 of the Frankfurt Regional Championships.
Excellent work there from Nicholas. Stuck to his role, stuck to his job, get the early Iron Hands into the mix. Did also have to navigate that awkward turn from David, where there were no vulnerable single prize Pokemon, but there was still an arm press available as we go through the replay of this game number 1. Did a decent job of getting not only the Iron Hands into the mix, but crucially, the single copy of Genesect EX, which was really influential throughout the game to make sure we could keep topped up on these Gholdengo. That's where the synergy of this deck really lies. The fact that you can commit a bunch of energy early onto this Iron Hands that has to be dealt with throughout the game, then fuels your discard pile for easy Gholdengo knockouts. And in this case, the Gholdengo whiffed on a gusting effect, even with a huge number of draws, but it meant that Nicholas just had so many outs as we closed towards the later stages of this game.
Absolutely. Here we see the arm press KO on the Mew for 160. Perfect maths. We saw the Galvantula here, which, you know, put in a bit of a shift in the end. Unfortunately, was not able to KO the Mew at the perfect time, but it was able to KO the Scream Tail, and then when it only took 80 damage from the Jellicent EX, that meant that boss's orders was able to take out that Monkey Dory, and Galvantula. Turns out Amy might have been onto something, Joe, with her prediction this weekend. That Galvantula made a real difference in game 1.
Not just the Joltik, also the stage 1. Like you said, Ross, a couple prize cards, and just jumping from 30 hit points up to 100 completely changed the complexion of the game.
Oh, yeah.
It made David's single prize knockouts onto the Gimme Ghoul, from a perspective, look really good, then turned into turmoil. Otherwise, he turned ahead. That happens. Nicholas is going to go first, starts off with a Gimme Ghoul, and already has that early item card, the Buddy Poffin, such a crucial item you're going to see in a plethora of decks, because it's so helpful at grabbing some evolution Pokemon. In this case, Nicholas is spying a second Gimme Ghoul in addition to a Joltik. And there's also an Air Balloon and a Nest Ball in hand. This is an excellent start, Ross.
Absolutely. This Nest Ball comes down and goes and gets that Iron Hands. We know that's going to be important. And sure, you'd rather go second so you can get that Joltik building up that Iron Hands immediately. But just because you're going first doesn't really change anything. Your deck is not built like a traditional Gholdengo deck. You're not using Energy Search Pro to go and search out like 7 energy and get a giant KO on a Gardevoird and then shift into superior energy retrieval of Insha mode. No. You are built to start the game with Iron Hands. That is what it does. Then Gholdengo comes in as your closer when Iron Hands has exhausted his usefulness. That is what you're going for here. And this is literally perfect. You've got Iron Hands, you've got Joltik, you've got the energy on Joltik, you've got an Air Balloon on your active ready to retreat into the Joltik. Everything coming up Nicholas in turn 1. But David's going second. Supporters are available. We've got to have a better turn 1 than we did in game 1, right, Joe?
And it's going to be stunning, Ross, because there's a secret box in the opening hand.
Nice.
This Ace Spec allows us to access all sorts from our deck. So much value. A discard of 3 is well worth being able to search a stadium, a tool, an item, and a supporter card. I think David is going to try and look towards that TM evolution as early as possible, and already that's been thrown onto the board. David playing at rapid pace, knowing that there's only 19 minutes remaining on this clock to try and not just take 1 game, but 2 to ultimately win the match. David is also going to spy an Artisan, no doubt, and likely a means of finding some additional basic Pokemon, either via Nest Ball, maybe even the Earthen Vessel as well. In this case, just getting double Rolts to get us double Curlier, as neither of those are prized, seem to be the route here.
Absolutely, it does, and I love this. This is the real difference between going first and second. In game 1, David went first, had to have that awkward rare candy into a Gardevoird to try and dodge and weave away from the Ampu very much. Well, David knows Ampu very much is not coming down next turn, which means you bench your double routes. You can then TM Evolution to evolve both those routes into a Curlier. Nicholas has a turn, but there is not going to be an Ampu very much. That's not how the deck works. So by the time Nicholas is able to use Ampu very much, in theory, you've evolved both of them into Gardevoird, and those easy targets are off the board. Maybe you go for a Monkey Dory, but that is nowhere near as satisfying.
Even with things like Bravery Charm, you could put that onto your Monkey Dory and push that out of range of an Iron Hands. That could also be really handy as the game develops. Going to see, actually perhaps not with a Jellicent build.
There's no Bravery Charm, I'm afraid, Joe, no space.
I'm getting ahead of myself, but here we are. Either way, the Artisan's still open for David with the TM Evolution online, ready to go into double Curlier here. Looks like there are no additional basics from that 7-card Professor's Research, so we will end up on double Curlier here, trying to develop a really robust board state so that once again Iron Hands can only go so far, and then you build up a bigger board state, forcing a lot out of Gholdengo turn by turn.
We do see a Frillish coming down here, though. This is very, very interesting. So could we instead see a Jellicent EX coming out nice and early? And we are. It's going to be 1 Curlier and 1 Jellicent EX. So you're kind of saying to Nicholas, look, I'm building up a bunch of different options here. I might go Jellicent. Now, you've got to be a bit careful with the clock. Jellicent can slow the game.
Online, ready to go into double Curlier here. Looks like there are no additional basics from that 7-card Professor's Research, so we will end up on double Curlier here, trying to develop a really robust board state so that once again Iron Hands can only go so far, and then you build up a bigger board state, forcing a lot out of Gholdengo turn by turn.
We do see a Frillish coming down here, though. This is very, very interesting. So could we instead see a Jellicent EX coming out nice and early? And we are. It's going to be one Curlier and one Jellicent EX. So you're kind of saying to Nicholas, look, I'm building up a bunch of different options here. I might go Jellicent. Now, you've got to be a bit careful with the clock. Jellicent can slow the game down a bit. But the theory is with Monkey Dory, and then you would be hitting 160 a turn with Jellicent, that you can still win the game fast enough to at least get a tie, maybe push for a quick game 3 and then a win.
Rock Scouting as a supporter in this deck is actually so handy. Typically finding some basics doesn't really add up, but in this case, because we can search for this Genesect EX, we can then Metallic Signal, and Brock actually finds 2 basics and 2 stage 1s. That's a lot of value from this one supporter card. So useful at getting your turn 1 Jolting Charge, because it can grab both Miraidon and Latias EX.
Yep.
From basically any board position, you can brute force out Joltik, Iron Hands, Latias, get the Joltik into the active. But also, in the mid-game like this, we're still finding a way to grab our Gholdengo EX and bring our draw engine online. We're already very content with the Jolting Charge this turn. We know that much is going to be the case, but accessing more and more cards throughout the game with this Gholdengo is going to be so important, and very happy for everyone back home, we get to increase our Gimme Ghoul counter.
Yeah, we do. And of course, you got the Air Balloon down turn 1, so that means you can coin bonus for 2 in the active, then retreat for free. You don't need Latias because you've got Air Balloon, and you're not a basic anyway. Now you can retreat into that Joltik, and then you can get all of your energy rolling, and we're going to see it going exactly like it was in game 1 for Nicholas. The big difference here is that David has got a much better board by the time this gets going than he had in game 1. That's the big difference, but there's also only 15 minutes left on the clock, so Nicholas goes and gets a grass. Oh, no, this is... Oh, that's the attachment for the turn.
Yeah, this is all pre-jolting.
Yeah.
It's not even a bad thing to put like 5 energy on Iron Hands, to be honest. There are a couple energy in the prize cards as well, so perhaps after drawing into a couple of those, we're just safeguarding ourselves from not getting maximum value from the Jolting Charge. Yeah, I think that's what it is. There's only 1 grass energy in the deck, so we're going to throw 2 lightning and a grass. We still make our way towards the Amp You Very Much next turn. Very well done once again from Nicholas. Getting not just your ideal attack off this turn, setting up the Iron Hands, but also building a really nice board, knowing that Gardevoird often is going to look towards these disruption supporters throughout the remainder of the game. Giving yourself that draw engine is so fantastic.
And thank goodness got an energy down on Joltik turn 1, so you had the attachment ready for the Iron Hands there in game 2. So we got the Iron Hands ready to go. All the energy you could ever want for Amp You Very Much. Now we're back over to David, and now David can start making some waves. That Joltik has 30 HP. The Gardevoird is ready to evolve, and it is there in hand. It is coming out. And of course, we've already got Monkey Dory with a Darkness energy, so that Joltik should be able to be taken down with an Adrenabrain if you wish, and I'll suggest you probably do. Yeah. And then you can start doing things like Jellicent.
Seems like a pretty good turn, to be honest, Ross. Second Monkey Dory coming into play. This is really where we start to see the Gardevoird deck become out of control. We didn't really see the power of it in that game number 1 with 3 of those Monkey Dory in the prize cards, but the more Adrenabrain you have on the board, the more flexibility this deck immediately has. You get to keep your own Pokemon healthier after Psychic Embrace, and you start to fling that straight back at the opponent. In this case, it could easily just take a single prize knockout and then look to put more damage onto this board with your various attackers. But throughout the game, you're going to be setting up all sorts of KOs. So these Monkey Dory are vital. Another professor's research here. Did David find, first of all, any access to additional darkness energy?
There's one in hand.
There is one in the hand, so perfect. We're going to have access to a couple Adrenabrain here, in addition to Power Press being powered up.
This is looking very nice. If you're newer to Gardevoird, each Monkey Dory needs a Darkness energy on in order to use its ability. There goes a KO on the Joltik. So your Psychic energy is good because you're accelerating that with Gardevoird. But you still need your turn attachment every turn to get the Darkness onto Monkey Dory. And this is what's so good about David's turn. Turn 1, you get the Monkey Dory, you attach a Darkness. Turn 2, you got a second Monkey Dory. You really want that second Darkness. I'm sure I saw one in hand. I hope I wasn't seeing things here.
Looks like it. If you're grabbing Psychic from the vessel, you've got to think there's a Darkness energy already.
And then you've got 2 Monkey Dory ready to go. And then next turn, you've actually got a bench space. You could potentially go triple Monkey Dory if you're feeling a little bit dangerous. And that's 90 damage before you've even attacked during your turn.
So David, it is there. Likely just going to set up a knockout onto this Gholdengo. I feel like that means you're putting 4 energy onto this Jellicent. We're going to quickly retreat via Psychic Embrace, keeping our Darkness energy around and putting 2 counters onto our Monkey Dory. It's going to go there. And I feel like if you're hitting into a 260 hit point Pokemon, we would rather ramp up this Power Press even more.
There we go.
That's what we're starting to see here.
And now we get 3 more damage taken from the Jellicent onto the Gholdengo using that Adrenabrain. I'm assuming it's going on the Gholdengo. That would be a total of 190 if it all went there. But you could start building up the bench as well if you so wish. You could, for instance, put some onto the Gimme Ghoul, forcing Nicholas to evolve it, but still having a weaker Gholdengo later. Or build up onto this Iron Hands on the bench, which then brings it into Gardevoird range with 1 more Adrenabrain.
Yeah, and that 160 is still pretty decent for you to try and mop up later. If we're simply going to use the active Gholdengo now as a pivot, thanks to its Air Balloon, you can still ramp up various Screamtail damage or Monkey Dory math here and there, but you still have to respect that Iron Hands, because the last thing you want is Nicholas to start picking off these Monkey Dory. It's your damage, but it's also giving Nicholas the easiest route to 2 prize cards this turn. So that's the thing you want to try and dodge here if you're David. We can't play tools right now, but there's a Virogenic Curse. We can, with Boss's Orders, still make that happen. And I feel like Boss's Orders onto Monkey Dory is very likely going to be the case here.
I mean, it's been put to the front of his hand, so I think it's pretty... Yeah, I think you've nailed that one, Joe. I think it's going to be coming up. 2 prizes, get your tools back, beef up your HP a little bit more, make it very difficult to get KO'd. I like that.
It's all looking pretty solid here for Nicholas, who is already 1 game ahead in this second game right now. Just 10 minutes remain, and he's going to be going ahead in this prize race once again. After moving the Jellicent TX out of the active, we can place down the Bravery Charm. We're going to have a quick shuffle after the Genesect before we start to bonus some coins, get additional draw in. Again, it's a situation where you don't need much this turn. Possibly bouncing the Artisan for a Levincia could be a decent option for you. Possibly just working towards a Cybermaniac and leaving something on the top would be okay, although it's mostly Brock's scouting here. Working towards a Professor Turret scenario could be another supporter that would be useful for you.
And we do have a Flip the Script here. Very important to note, Flip the Script does not need a Pokemon to be KO'd by damage. It is just any Pokemon being KO'd during your opponent's last turn. So the Adrenabrain KO on the Joltik does activate Flip the Script, giving 3 additional cards, you know, combined with all the coin bonus we're going to have.
Yeah, a couple more coins to pluck here. Again, nothing too impactful right now, but we're just amassing a hand size in case David isn't able to find an Iron-O next turn, knowing full well that this Iron Hand now coming into the active will once again be able to amp you very much. Almost always you're going to see this archetype lead out with this amp you very much because it's such an easy means of forcing 2 prize knockouts, and it opens the door for Gholdengo as a later game threat. Keeping all this draw power around is what makes this deck tick, and it's doing excellently here for Nicholas in phase 1 of the competition, already 4-0, and now getting closer to winning this round 5 and booking their spot into phase 2 of the competition.
Got to bear in mind this is a best of 3. If game 2 does not finish, then Nicholas will win this best of 3 1-0. So if Nicholas wins this game 2, they're off to 5-0. If David wins it, we're going to have to see how much time we got for a game 3. But if this game doesn't finish, if it ends without either player achieving a victory condition, that means that Nicholas will get a 1-0 victory. So Nicholas here, go through your motions, take your prizes, stick to your regular game plan. It worked brilliantly in game 1. Let's make sure it works well in game 2. Here's the KO of Amp You Very Much. Nicholas goes up 2 prizes to 1.
David once again in a puzzling spot, knowing that there's no real easy way of picking apart this board now. Everything is evolved up. There's lots of healthy evolved Pokemon, so there's not even a TM Devolution angle that looks that promising with so many 70 hit points. Gimme Ghoul underneath these Gholdengo EX. There's a Bravery Charmed Iron Hands as well, so you might be having to commit a number of your Adrenabrain all into the active position here. So it's all looking pretty awkward right now. Also asking how many cards are in Nicholas's hand. It's going to be bad news. That's a huge number of cards in the hand already amassed. So David is going to have to look towards using Ino this turn at the very least.
Looking like we're going to get a Night Stretcher for a Monkey Dory here. We do want the double Monkey. The ideal situation here is that you add one every turn. No, we're instead going for a Gardevoird, getting a second one of those. Now, what the Bravery Charm's done is it means instead of one... Oh, because we can ask on for the Monkey Dory. There we go. But what the Bravery Charm's done, instead of 1 Monkey Dory Gardevoird attack, it's now 2 Monkey Dory Gardevoird attack. Still absolutely possible, still doable, but that 30 damage is not now going somewhere else instead. That can make a big difference as we go through the game.
Yeah, these 260 hit points are so awkward for the Gardevoird, really. They really rely on every little bit of damage from those Adrenabrain. So like you said, it's just becoming more and more awkward. And I think that was a professor's research, allowing Nicholas to keep a huge hand size, which can't feel like a great position to be in. But at least David can be dealing with this Iron Hands this turn via attacking with the Gardevoird EX. Or possibly are we going to retreat here with just 2 energy attached? Yeah, we are. Going to retreat back into the Jellicent EX, which means we're doing a little bit less damage with the Power Press. We're not going to be taking a knockout on this Iron Hands this turn. We're going to be setting it up for an Adrenabrain knockout on a future turn.
Yes.
By the looks of things here. 160 damage on the Power Press when there's 4 energy attached. We can double Monkey Dory to put this Iron Hands well in range of Adrenabrain's next turn.
You can put it up to 220 plus a free on is 250, but it's got 280. So you can leave it 1 Adrenabrain away from being KO'd, but you cannot actually KO it this turn. I like the first Adrenabrain because that means it's now 2 Adrenabrain away. I would want to do it twice here.
So the issue with not putting both onto the active is that it's very likely Nicholas will just try and gust again and take out another Monkey Dory. And that makes the line even more appealing here.
And that's why I said I wanted the second Monkey Dory onto the active, because otherwise you're forced to then get another Monkey Dory out, and that just makes things more awkward. Do we have any gusting to start this turn? Let's face it, last time there was a Jellicent active, you gusted him. That's what you want. Oh, and it is. Bossler's at the front of the hand there. So I think Nicholas is going to go for the old standard of, oh, Jellicent, nice. Don't care, I'm KOing Monkey Dory.
I suppose the only good news here is that you're tempting Nicholas to use these gusting effects now, and maybe with enough Adrenabrain, we can devolve with a Jellicent in the active, take out a number of Gholdengo in 1 turn, remove a draw engine, and then suddenly your Ionos can get you in a good position. David is still trying to stop the long game strategy here with the way he's placed his damage.
Absolutely. We've got 5 minutes remaining on the round counter. We need to keep an eye on that. Remember, we have +1 turn at the end here. The Vincher comes down. That lets you get 2 lightning energy from your discard back to your hand every turn. Have a superior energy retrieval for free. which is quite nice. There is a lightning energy prize, though, so that's a little awkward because oh no, it plays forward, good.
Yeah, everything's looking pretty decent here for Nicholas. I can't see anything better than simply bringing up a Monkey Dory and taking it out. It's simply too appealing.
Agreed.
And it keeps your Iron Hands in the active, forcing more answers from the opponent. There's the boss's orders, bringing up another Monkey Dory. Back-to-back turns for Nicholas. This has been the avenue. And once again, Iron Hands amps its way to 4 prize cards. Nicholas now just 1 knockout away from closing out this second game. David, once again, back against the wall. A lot of damage scattered around this board, though, so there's a few avenues he can look towards here, Ross.
Absolutely, he can. Now, we do get the double Monkey Dory here. Oh, and we see a Tia. There's an evolution, though. We see Artisan coming down into play. Get rid of that Valencia. Now, the good news is we've got the KO on the board now on this Iron Hands. We can accelerate energy with Gardevoird, get enough energy on the board, double Monkey Dory, Adrenabrain onto the Iron Hands. That will go down, force Nicholas to put a new Pokemon active, and it will still be David's turn. Nicholas can win the game next turn with a big Gholdengo KO on a 2-prize Pokemon, but David can actually get in a situation now where he wins next turn, only has to survive a single turn to stay in this match.
And this Iono is critical to put Nicholas down to just 2 cards, even with a few coin bonus, even with Vesentipity. There's no guarantees that Nicholas will find the winning combination, as it will require a few cards to get over the line. We're going to see the retreat back into the Jellicent EX here. There's a lot of damage around this board. We can put even more into play with more Psychic Embrace. We're once again putting 4 counters onto 1 Gardevoird. That means we can get the maximum damage from both our Monkey Dory here. That's why we're putting even more energy onto the Jellicent.
Now we see 1 Monkey Dory, 2 Monkey Dory, both onto the Iron Hands. That is the KO with Adrenabrain. That was not an attack. That was a KO using just Adrenabrain. 2 prizes taken from David. It is still his turn. Nicholas puts up a new active Pokemon. It is a Gholdengo with 230 hit points remaining. So you can hit it with Jellicent. You're going to do 160, and it's not going to KO here. But your hope is that next turn you can take a double KO, and that is going to be the game. Can Nicholas do anything about it first, though?
Well, a few really punishing options for Nicholas this turn. Can try and find a Professor Turo scenario and simply undo a lot of this damage, buy yourself a little bit of time that way. But you can also work towards winning the game this turn. A boss's orders, Vesentipity's online, a lot of draw power. You will require a Stadium and a Superior Energy Retrieval or double Superior Energy Retrieval to get over this 300 hit point Gardevoird on the bench from David.
Yes.
So it's not likely that we're going to see the win here, even with this much draw power. There's still a lot to find, but there's still a lot of other things that can slow down David's progression. There's no guarantees that they're putting themselves in a good spot here.
Has hit Prime Catcher. That is part of the task.
Currently shut down by the Jellicent.
Of course it is for the Jellicent. No, man.
The only things keeping us still safe here. Otherwise, the Arven would be an easy mop-up for the game.
It would indeed.
Be a coin bonus for 1 card here, just making sure that it was a 1-card draw.
Has hit Prime Catcher. That because he's not got what he needs. Now it does allow him to come back to us just for ways. When it's sorted out, somebody's going to tell us, and we'll tell you. And it'll be right now, because it really could go either way. Gardevoird is setting up for potential multiple attack this turn. The problem is they cannot do it with Jellicent in the active.
Yeah, because the Superior Energy Retrieval is the item card required, and that's being shut down by the Jellicent's ability, so we can't amass enough energy to make a huge Make It Rain attack work. There's not even enough energy in the deck to do it, to draw energy naturally. We need to do it from these item cards. So this in here for the Gholdengo matchup. Absolutely. A huge amount of the World Championships, but it's already paying dividends in the second game for David.
Oh, well, I remember I was walking around Anaheim, and I had a look at the screen. I think it was Isaiah Bradley was playing on screen, and I was like, Jellicent. Oh, okay. Then I saw the graph saying that, Gholdengo was 23% of the meta, and I'm like, okay, I kind of feel like Jellicent might be a fun play this weekend, and of course, this is a championships, and it's certainly putting 6 energy to KO the Jellicent on the Gholdengo. You just said, Joe. I believe you that there is not enough energy in the deck.
No, I don't think there is.
So, yeah, there is not a KO coming down here with items, and there are no items with Jellicent in the active, so can we get it out the active? Now, we've seen at least 2 boss's orders onto Monkey Dory. There's no prize. Does that leave 2 in the deck, or have we seen a third?
I believe there's still 2 in the deck remaining, so I think that's okay. Looks like the resolution is happening right now on the table, so it won't be too long until we're back into this action here. I believe it was the Gholdengo trying to see 2 cards, even though it's from the bench. So you've seen a card, then reveal the card, replace and shuffled. That's actually going on the table right now with the draws from coin bonus. But right now, from Nicholas' position, if you can't find that big combination of superiors and boss's orders, Professor Turo scenario is a great option for you here to try and subvert the potential devolution line, or just mop up a huge amount of damage so there's not a number of Monkey Dory coming in, and an attack to take those 3 prize cards remaining. So we're getting back to the table now.
If there is any other resolution, if there's anything else you need to know, someone will tell us, and we will tell you. Otherwise, we are back into this game. Nicholas here on the turn with Gholdengo, really looking for a boss's orders. We have a coin bonus. It's a boss's orders. That's what he just hit from that coin bonus for 1, Joe.
The final card drawn, boss's orders now. Is there enough energy to close out this game? Still 6 energy required to deal with a benched Gardevoird EX. It might be a little bit awkward. Just to update you as well, David only requires 1 prize card to close out this second game. Nicholas did suffer a 2 prize card penalty for seeing that additional card from a benched coin bonus. That's now been resolved. The game is continuing. I don't think we have the resources to knock out a benched Gardevoird EX this turn. And now with David just one prize card to take, it's going to be very difficult for Nicholas to make it awkward. Nicholas going to have to completely pivot his strategy. There's, I believe, only one Psychic Energy in the discard pile. Now perhaps do you gust the benched Gardevoird EX with no energy attached?
You have to.
You can do.
If you can't get the KO, you have to do this. If David attacks, David wins. With one prize remaining, an attack is a win. Here we see an Earthen Vessel coming down searching for energy, but we know Nicholas is not winning the game this turn. If he was winning the game this turn, he would have gusted up the Gardevoird that needed one less energy to KO. This is not a winning play, this is a win. Here we see an Earthen Vessel coming down searching for energy, but we know Nicholas is not winning the game this turn. If he was winning the game...
Here too. We even saw Wellspring Ogerpon of all things, KOing 4 Dreepy in 2 turns with Torrential Pump.